Hello, 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 hello. I have so much to share as I am waiting for the algorithm to let folks know that I am here. I have so much to share. We are talking about new focus, um, fresh hope. We're talking about how to elevate in 2025. And I am ready for us to get started. I have so much to share with you all. I have notes in front of me. I have so much to share. I am going to talk very frankly about 2024. And quite frankly, I can talk about 2024 and 2023, but I want to normalize this because just because 2024 seemed like I was on punishment, okay? It seemed like I was on punishment in 2024. I know that that's not necessarily everybody's story. Some people had a beautiful 2024, and I love that for you if that's the case. But maybe for some of us, it wasn't 2024, and maybe it was 2020 that you're still shook from. Maybe it was 2018. Regardless, I want to talk about how do you navigate tough seasons. There are two things you have to consider when you're navigating tough seasons. So even if 2024 wasn't necessarily challenging for you, that's okay, because this is still gonna help you for whenever you face a tough season. So 2024, we're gonna talk about what we need to ask ourselves for 2025. There are 3 questions you need to ask yourself as you're preparing for 2025. And with those 3 things you need to be asking yourself, I'm gonna share with you the 3 Ps. These are 3 Ps that help you remember. That's why I do it like that. It's 3 things that's gonna help you remember. So, Imma share with you the 2 things you need to consider when navigating tough seasons. Imma share with you 3 questions you need to ask as you prepare for 2025. We're going to end with you discovering what your intentions are for this year. I'm gonna get into the conversation about how y'all don't like resolutions anymore. We're gonna talk about that. But I want you to have 3 solid intentions for the year. And you all, this is so simple, but so powerful that even my 10-year-old has her 3 intentions for the year. Now, those teens of mine, they won't sit down and do it. That's on them, baby. But Riley, my 10-year-old, she has her 3 intentions for the year. And so I want you to have your 3 intentions. I'm going to share with you my 3 intentions. Then we're going to end with me sharing with you some of the things that are changing with my business and how I want to support you this year. And then we're going to go back. If you live in Atlanta, we're going to go back to this snow day. If you don't live in Atlanta and is just fine out where you are, then you can continue with your day. Now, I also want to take a moment. My heart is so unbelievably heavy for those who are in California, even for those who may not be experiencing the direct tragedy. There really is a real reality of experiencing PTSD symptoms secondary, right? Secondary PTSD. And so my heart definitely, definitely is with those in California. And so I think it is important that we acknowledge those who are suffering such devastating loss. Just scrolling through Instagram, it's literally like the apocalypse. And what's so interesting is I'm watching that visuals of New York. I mean, I'm sorry, of California. And then I look out my window and it's all of this snow. It's just the dichotomy of life. It really is a reflection of the dichotomy of life. And so we send all of the prayers to those in California. Okay, so again, what we're talking about today, I'm going to talk about how you rebound from tough seasons. How do you navigate tough seasons? There are 2 things you have to consider. And then I'm going to talk to you about the 3 questions you need to ask yourself as you're preparing for 2025, including the 3 Ps that you're going to hold on to. Then we're going to talk about your intentions for the year. And then we're going to get into the changes for how I want to support you. Now, I have notes beside me because if not, I'll be all over the place. Okay. So I want us to dive in now. As you are coming onto the stream, if you catch this replay later on, it really helps. One of the things I first want you to do is I really am asking you to support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel because this is where we're going to spend some time in 2025. I'm spending time right here on YouTube in 2025. And so please subscribe to the channel as you thank you. You just like to thank you. But as you subscribe to the channel, it helps to move it up the algorithm and it helps me get monetized. And we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that in a moment. Okay. So I have talked very openly and very honestly, particularly on my personal Facebook page. I have talked openly about how challenging 2024 was. 2024 was a very, very hard year for me and my family. And when you say that, people are like, well, what was hard about it? It seemed like every area of our life was tested. And it seemed like we were stretched in any way possible with health, with finances, with ministry, with business, with relationship. Like in every area, it seemed like we were being stretched. Now, this is after coming off of a very challenging 2023. So it almost seemed like it was just back to back whammies. I particularly remember starting 2024 and feeling really hopeful, right? I felt really hopeful, like, whoo, we got through 2023. There is no way 2024 is going to be as bad as 2023 was. And baby, it was pretty challenging. So much so, we were on a vacation out. Well, it wasn't necessarily a vacation, but we were out of the country at some point in 2024. And when I tell you it was one of the hardest trips we'd ever had, and it was a beautiful country, but it was just a really challenging time for us. So much so, and I wonder if anybody can relate to this. It was so challenging that if I am honest, which is what I'm going to always be with you all, if I am honest, I tiptoed into 2025. I'm peeking around in December of 2024. I'm peeking around the corner to see 2025. What you're trying to do, right? And if we're not careful, if you can relate to this, if you can relate to a year being very, very difficult, then you may be able to relate to the fact that you are apprehensive about a new year. But there are two things I want you to consider as you are approaching this year. There are two things that are going to help shape not only the year, these two things are going to help shape how you look at your life, period, right? Hold on one second. Don't go anywhere, you guys. Hold on one second. I'm still here. So we keep it real. And my nose was running and I couldn't focus anymore. Okay. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. So as I am planning for 2025, I was very apprehensive. I was nervous. I was, oh my gosh. Have you all seen? Oh my God. Seen that reel on Instagram where it says it's pretending to call heaven and it's saying, wait a minute, God, I'm calling heaven to ask you, am I on the strongest warriors list or am I on the give that child a break list? That's how I felt. And if you can relate to this again, I don't want to assume that everybody had a challenging 2024. You can almost feel guilty if 2024 was amazing for you. You can almost feel guilty if you're like, no, things were pretty amazing. I don't want you to feel that. I want you to look at any tough season of your life. Because again, while 2024 was very challenging, I learned so much about myself. So much so I did a video with the lessons that I've learned in 2024, and I did that around my birthday because this was a 2024 was a milestone birthday year for me. I turned 50, and so I did a video with the lessons that I've learned. And after I post this stream, I will put that in the description so you can go back. And I did that because maybe as you're reading the lessons that I've learned, maybe it's something that will resonate with you and some lessons that you have learned. But there are two things to consider when you are navigating a tough season. The first one, I want you to understand the concept of cognitive distortions. Now, when we do these lives, I'm gonna do these lives often in 2025. I'm going to post a new video at least once a week. Now, y'all know life be life there, but at least once a week, we're gonna have a video. It may not be a live, but at least once a week, we're gonna have a video right here on YouTube. And so you might as well get a journal and let that journal be tagged Robbery Online Lives. I am coming up with the journal that you can purchase. And if you're a part of Bite Size Breakthroughs for Busy Women, you definitely should already have a journal, but I want you to write down cognitive distortions because here's the deal. When you are navigating a tough season, You have to know your own cognitive distortion. So as I am reflecting back on 2024, I have to be aware of my own cognitive distortions. What's a cognitive distortion? It's basically stinking thinking. And everybody has a cognitive distortion. You have one, I have one, my best friend Oprah has one. Hey girl, my mentor, who don't know she's my mentor, Michelle Obama, has one. Can I tell y'all another one of my mentors? I should know her name. Yeah, I do. Her name is Anita Phillips. Baby, I love me some Anita Phillips. Can somebody tell her I love me some Anita Phillips? We love us some what's her name? We love Auntie Tab. We love Auntie Tab. Even she has a cognitive distortion. We all have cognitive distortions. It is stinking thinking. It is the way we process things through a filter that is dysfunctional. And so, as I am reflecting on 2024, remember I told you, as you're navigating tough seasons, there are two things you need to consider. Well, the first thing you need to consider is what is your cognitive distortion? And there's a particular cognitive distortion that could trip you up whenever you are in a tough season. And that cognitive distortion is a mental filter. It is a mental filter. So after we get off of this live, I want you to go look it up because what I want to help you do is elevate in your life as a licensed therapist, as an executive coach, as a minister. My passion is to help people elevate, to move up, to keep moving higher in your life. We don't stay the same. We don't stay at the same level. We're always wanting to move up. I want to dispel a myth. There is no such thing as being stagnant. You are either slowly drifting backwards or you might be slowly moving forward, but there is some kind of momentum happening. And so I want to help you elevate. And here's the deal, when I have these kind of conversations, I know it can feel frustrating because we want some practical, what do I need to do to fix it right now? But that is not the long term strategy. You have to look at how you are navigating life by the way you are thinking. And your cognitive distortion could be the very thing that's tripping you up. I'm going to talk a lot about bite sized breakthroughs for busy women. We are relaunching, we are going deeper in that work. This is an on the go, inspirational process for you to invest in. It's right on Patreon. And in Bite Size Breakthroughs for Busy Women, I did a whole video about cognitive distortions. You need to know your cognitive distortion. One of my primary stinking thinking is catastrophizing. So as I'm looking over 2024, I know my default way of thinking when I am in a dysfunctional mindset is to catastrophize. What does that mean? Honey, it can be a 10, and 10 is bad enough, but by the time I finish, I've made it a 20. So I have to know that about myself as I am reflecting on last year. It was tough, but by the time I finish, I'll have y'all thinking that we lost everything and that everybody was in the hospital, right? Because that's my tendency to catastrophize. Well, some of you have a tendency to have a negative mental filter. What does that mean? When something happens, it's like a calendar. See, if I had thought about it, I would have had a colander over here for you. Y'all know what a colander is, right? A strainer, when you're straining noodles. So the mental filter is like a calendar, not a calendar, a colander. It's like a colander. When life happens, it goes into your filter and you shake out anything that's good and you only see the bad. So, as you are navigating tough seasons, as we are navigating last year, what you want to ask yourself is what is my filter? Do I have a mental filter that filters out all the good and only focuses on the bad? Why is this so important? Because how you are viewing it matters, which takes us to number two. So, if you're just now coming in, I'm asking you to like the stream and then subscribe to the channel. We're going to spend a lot of time here on YouTube in 2020. Why y'all didn't tell me this piece of hair was sticking up? Y'all were just gonna sit there and let that stick up like that? We are gonna spend a lot of time here on YouTube, and so there are several things that we're gonna be doing in this conversation. Number 1, I'm gonna talk to you about how to navigate tough seasons. I'm gonna share with you 3 questions you need to ask yourself as you're preparing for 2025. We're going to end with setting your intentions for the year. I shared early that my 10-year-old has set her intentions. I'm gonna share with you my 3 intentions so that you can shape yours. And I think I've decided I have a giveaway. I have a giveaway, and I'm gonna y'all remind me that I said I have a giveaway. I wanna help you set your intentions, and then as we close, I'm gonna share with you a few of the changes that I'm making in the work I do so that we can see how we can work together. All right, let's get back. So, as you are navigating tough seasons, for me, 2023 and 2024 have been really tough seasons. I've learned so much about myself, particularly in 2024. I saw my personal areas of growth in a way that I have never seen before. I always say, I would wanna be my friend, and I stand by that. I would want to be my friend, but I learned some things about how I show up and how I process and how that lands with other people in a way that I had never experienced before. So while it was tough, there were a lot of valuable lessons, and I'm going to post in the description the video from where I shared those lessons. The first thing when you are navigating any tough season, you want to ask yourself or remember, what are my cognitive distortions? I want you to Google cognitive distortions. If you're in Bite Size Breakthroughs for Busy Women, you ain't got to Google nothing. It's right there for you. And one of the exercises I encourage people to do, this is a powerful exercise. You get a list of the cognitive distortions and you send them to 3 people that you trust, 3 people who will tell you the truth about you. And you ask them, which of these 3 or which of these cognitive distortions do you see me play out? And ask them to list at least 3, right? What are the cognitive distortions that you see me play out, right? And so for me, catastrophizing is definitely a cognitive distortion. So that's the first thing. What are my cognitive distortions? As I'm navigating tough seasons, I need to ask myself, what is my cognitive distortion? The second thing you need to ask yourself is this: what is my world view? What is my worldview? Again, what are we doing? We are trying to figure out, how do we navigate tough seasons well? It rains on the just and the unjust. Life happens but God. We are all going to face tough seasons. So 2024 might have been amazing for you, but maybe 2019 still has you shook. Or maybe down the line, you're going to have a tough season. So when we're navigating tough seasons, how do we navigate it well? Number one, what is my cognitive distortion? What is the way that I'm thinking that could be dysfunctional? But then number two, what is my worldview? This is what I help my clients unpack. I help them figure out, what is my world view? How do I view the world? Now, again, this isn't something that's a quick fix, but why do we need to understand our world view? Because if you are particularly a woman of faith and you have not assessed my worldview, what is my worldview? You cannot assume that you're viewing the world through a filter of faith. Let me say that again. If you haven't stopped and said, wait a minute, what is my worldview? You cannot assume, because most often, if we're not being intentional about our worldview, if we're not being intentional about it, we default to the dysfunctional way of processing. I want y'all to get this. We'll end up defaulting to our dysfunctional way of processing. Remember, my dysfunctional cognitive distortion, my dysfunctional thinking is catastrophizing, baby. It can be a 10, and 10 is bad enough, but I'm going to make it a 20. And so if I'm not careful and if I'm not checking myself and saying, Robin, what is your worldview? What is your faith filter? Then I will allow the catastrophizing to be my filter. I hope you're flowing with this. So, how do you navigate tough seasons? Number one, you have to ask yourself, what are my cognitive distortions? And listen, if you don't know your cognitive distortion, just look them up. Look up cognitive distortions. Identify 3 people who you trust, who will tell you the truth about you. Send them the list of cognitive distortions and say, hey, will you give me some feedback on me? When you read these cognitive distortions, which of them stand out to you when you think about how I process? So, again, it could be catastrophizing. It could be a mental filter. It could be personalization. It could be black and white thinking. Those are dysfunctional ways of thinking that hinder our peace and our well being. Then, after you figured that out, you want to ask yourself, what is my worldview? Why is your worldview important? Well, if you're a woman of faith, your filter, your worldview should be filtered through your faith. Should is a cognitive distortion. Should and should nots is a cognitive distortion. So let me reframe that. If you are a woman of faith, you want your filter to be a filter of faith so that when you are looking at tough times, you already know. The Bible tells me that yes, you will face trials and tribulations, but don't you even worry about it. I've already overcome the world. If you have a filter of faith, you'll say, you know what? I know it is hard right now, but weapons may form, but my God promised me they wouldn't prosper. I understand that I am facing this tough season, but I also know that God said that He came to give me life and life more abundantly. See, when you challenge your worldview, it will shift how you are experiencing that tough season. So, I don't know what 2024 was like for you. It might have been amazing, and I love that for you. But just in case it was tough, like it was for me, and just in case you were coming into 2025, like, wait a minute, hold up. Wait a minute, y'all don't know that song. If you were already kinda leery about 2025, well, when I consider what I just asked you to consider, when I recognize, "Wait a minute, okay, Robin, you know how you do. You already know that you have a tendency to catastrophize. Did you notice how I am validating the fact that, yes, it is 10, and 10 is heavy, and 10 is hard enough because this is not about toxic positivity. This is not about pretending that things were not challenging. I'm going to acknowledge now, Robin, you know that you have a tendency to catastrophize. Now, sis, it was hard, and nobody's gonna come and tell you that it wasn't hard. But sis, you know that you'll make it a 20. So I want you to be careful, Robin, about how now, Robin, you know that you tend to have a black and white thinking, and you forget that there is a lot of gray. So yes, it was really hard, but there were some really good moments as well. Do you see why this is important? You want to make sure you're challenging your cognitive distortion. And then as I'm looking at 2025, I don't have to be leery. I don't have to be afraid because I have a faith filter. I understand that I am able to overcome through the power of God anything that I face because He's been faithful before and He'll be faithful in the future because my worldview is a worldview of faith. So, as you're navigating tough seasons, there are two things you need to consider. I hope you can finish it for me now. What are the two things you need to consider? Number one, you need to consider what is my stinking thinking? What are my cognitive distortions? See, if you can't even answer that question, then that might mean you don't realize that you got some stinking thinking. And that's dangerous. And then you're going to ask yourself, wait a minute, what is my worldview? What do I think about the world? What is my anchor? So when we're talking about your worldview, and if you are a woman of faith, and most of you are, if you're a woman of faith and you want to have a faith filter, and that provides an anchor for your life so that you're not blown by the winds. Listen, we don't trust in chariots, we trust in the Lord. And so when I have a faith filter, when my worldview is that of faith, then that's my anchor. So no matter how hard it was, I don't have to enter 2025 timidly. I don't have to enter it timidly. Y'all saw me get excited because I was trying to remember what that word was. I don't have to enter it timidly. You know, one of my favorite scriptures says that you can come boldly to the throne of grace in your time of need. I love that scripture because I don't have to be timid when I'm coming to the Lord. I can come to the Lord boldly. It says boldly. And so when I understand that, I don't have to be afraid of 2025. Okay. All right. So I told you I have a lot to cover and I have a little less than 20 more minutes. Okay. So, what are we talking about? When you navigate tough seasons, what are two things you need to consider? I just gave you that. And then, number two, when you're preparing for a new year, now listen, you may be watching this video well after the stream, and this could be the middle of some year, and you're thinking, well, it's not the new year. It doesn't matter. You can ask yourself these three questions at any time, but particularly in the new year. So, I know so many people say, you know what, I don't do New Year's resolutions. A few of my clients have said that to me. Um, Recently, and I'm questioning and asking and being curious. Tell me why you don't do um resolutions. And what most of them have said, well, I don't think it's wise to wait to the new year to begin to make changes. And I loved that. And I'm all for that. But I also think we don't want to miss the rhythms of life. And the new year is a beautiful time for you to assess. And so the second thing I want us to unpack today is that there are three questions you want to ask yourself as you're navigating this new year. There are three questions, but I'm going to frame these questions under the three P's. Y'all flowing with me? There are three questions that you need to ask yourself, but I'm going to frame them under the three P's. Why am I saying three P's? Because it's easy to remember that way. And so I want y'all to be able to spout out these three P's. If I see you somewhere and I say, what are the three P's? I want you to be able to tell me. The three P's are you're going to look at me, look at my notes. You're going to pause. The second P is that you're going to pick and choose. And the third P is you're going to prioritize. What are our three P's? We're going to pause, pick and choose, prioritize. Let's do it again. What are our three P's? We're going to pause, pick and choose, and prioritize. Now, the first person to DM me on Instagram, the three P's, the first person to DM me the three P's, I am going to send you my life devotional absolutely for free. The Instagram is Robin May Online. What are the three P's? We're going to pause, we're going to pick and choose, and we're going to prioritize. So make sure you go DM me, and I am going to send you my life devotional. It's a 52-week devotional to help you navigate your year. Okay. And I'm going to send it to you absolutely for free. So the three P's. As we are preparing for 2025, there are three questions we need to ask ourselves. And I'm going to frame these under the three P's. These three P's are what you're going to do all year. Somebody say all year. Now, listen, as you're just now coming on, I'm so happy that you are here. We're going to spend so much time together on YouTube this year. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click like on this video. At the end of our time, I want to share with you what my strategy and plan is for 2025. And it's really in line with my three intentions. And I'm going to help you form your three intentions. And so also what will help, just take this video and send it to your best friend, send it to your sister, send it to your cousin, send it to your mama and say, listen, watch this video and then let's schedule some time to talk about it, right? Because I love that type of interaction. If you and your best friend make a commitment to watch this 45-minute video, because I have about 20 more minutes, if you schedule a time, say, okay, sis, while you're cooking dinner, while you're driving the kids to school, while you are doing some busy work, while you're vacuuming the house, listen to this video. And then on Sunday at 5 o'clock, let's get on FaceTime. You see how I'm fronting? I ain't getting on nobody's FaceTime because I don't use iPhones, okay? We're gonna get on Marco Polo and we're gonna discuss our takeaways from the video, okay? Because this is where accountability and community comes into play because you all need to do this together. You need to ask your best friend, girl, what do you see as my cognitive distortion? What is my stinking thinking? You need to ask your best friend, are you looking at your life through a filter of faith? And then you need to ask your best friend, what are the three P's? What did Robin say our three P's are? We're going to pause and pay attention. I didn't tell you, just we're going to pause. We're going to pause and pay attention, but we're going to pause. We're going to pick and choose, and we're going to prioritize. All right, let's dive in. As we are preparing for 2025, as we are still in preparation for 2025, I'm going to tell y'all a little bit later about my new year. But the first thing we have to do, the three P's, we have to pause and pay attention. Y'all, I live on that pulpit. Pause and pay attention. Pause and pay attention. Listen, hold your breath and let it out slowly. Do it one more time for me. Hold your breath and let it out slowly. Since many of us, we're moving so fast. I just was on a session a few minutes ago with one of my clients, and we were talking through this very thing. And I shared with her my three intentions, and our lives are very similar, this particular client and I. And one of the things I shared with her was that we have to be fair to ourselves about the reality of our life. See, somebody who is maybe retired and their children are adults, they may not be able to currently relate to the demands of someone who is still working full time and still juggling the schedules of their children. And so I know so many of you, like me, are juggling many, many things. And I want you to pause and I want you to pay attention. I want you to create a rhythm, pausing and paying attention. You cannot fight against the laws of the kingdom. Now, let me go churchy on y'all for a moment. One of the things when I minister, I often remind people is that there's a way that things work in the kingdom of God, and God invites us into a place of Sabbath. It's a place of reflection. And so that doesn't mean that you always have a whole day, but you can carve out 15 minutes to just pause and pay attention. Okay, so what are you pausing and paying attention to? You're pausing and paying attention to what is working and what isn't working in your life. And you do this throughout the year. This is not even one of our three questions necessarily, but this is just the first P. You pause and pay attention. And I want you to keep that rhythm up the entire year. Find time where you just what is working and what isn't working with your marriage. What is working, what isn't working with parenting? What is working, what isn't working with your health? What is working, what isn't working in your career? And often, whatever area in our life is creating the most tension, that's really where you want to pause and pay attention. So, as we are pausing and paying attention, here are the three questions you need to ask yourself as you prepare for 2025 or as you live out the rest of 2025. There are three questions I want you to ask yourself. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to get a candle. You see, there's a candle burning right here. See the candle burning right here? I want you to get you a candle. I want you to get you a hot drink because it'll soothe you. It can be hot tea. I'm into tea now. I'm into tea lately, y'all. I drink calm tea at least 3 times a week. So, I want you to get a hot drink, hot tea, hot coffee. I want you to turn on your favorite jazz song. It can be jazz gospel. You can turn on jazz gospel. But I specifically want you to turn on jazz. I don't want you to turn on music that had or instrumental. It doesn't have to be jazz, just something instrumental that doesn't have words, because I don't want you to be distracted. I want you to be able to hear you, hear your heart. I want you to be able to hear the Lord. So I want you to get you a candle, a hot drink, turn on your favorite jazz or instrumental music, grab you a journal, okay? Can y'all take a picture of your setup when you do it? Now, you're not supposed to be focused on me when you do this, but I just need a picture. Can you send me a picture so that I can post it on my Instagram stories? Send me a picture of you drinking your hot drink with your candle and your journal. And there are the three questions you need to ask yourself. Let me give you the three questions, okay? Question number one. What are the 3 words that would best describe 2024? Now, this is gonna take time for you to really think, so I want you to have a whole hour for this exercise. So if you have children, I need you and they're young, I need you to ask somebody to come over and watch the children. If you're married, tell your husband to take them kids up to get some Chick-fil-A. If they're older, tell them, "I wish you would come and bother me. Imma close my door. I wish you would come and bother me." I want you to find this time. You need about an hour. You're gonna ask yourself, what are the 3 words that would describe 2024? That's the first question. What are the 3 words that would describe 2024? Now, you can even Google descriptive words to help me figure out my year. Just find a bank of words. And I don't know if you would describe 2024 as eventful, enlightening, exciting. Yesterday I had did all how how I did those 3 E's. I didn't even mean to do that. Or maybe if you would describe 2024 as overwhelming, uncomfortable, um, demanding. I don't know how you would describe it. I just want you to describe it honestly. I often talk about how I used to do Weight Watchers, And with Weight Watchers, of course, you keep a track of your points, and you only get so many points a day, and it's based on how much you weigh. So let's say you get 21 points a day, and I love me a good old Snicker. And I remember and a Snicker maybe was 8 points. That's taking up almost half your points. So this is what your girl would do. That's 5 points. Well, sis, you ain't cheating nobody but yourself because you can put down 5 points all day long, but the scale is gonna show what it really was. And so when you're describing 2024, I want you to describe it as it really, really was. Tell yourself the truth about your year. So what 3 words would describe 2024? Here's your second question. Question number 2. Do you want to experience something similar in 2025? When you look at those 3 words that described 2024, do you want to experience something similar in 2025? That's the second question. Now remember, you got your instrumental music playing, you got your candle lit, you're drinking your hot coffee, you're journaling. Do I want to experience the similar experience of 2024 in 2025? Y'all ready for question number 3? Here's question number 3. If your answer is yes to question number 2, what do you need to do? What do I need to do if I want to experience the similar experience of 2024? What do I need to do? What will it take for me to have a similar experience? If your answer was no, I don't want to experience 2024 again. What do I need to do to experience something different? Now, this is going to really take some reflection because the truth is, the Bible tells us a man plans his way, but God orders his steps. And even as I described 2024, I am very clear that God was at work in me. There was something God was doing in me. And if I am honest, it is what I prayed for. God, create in me a clean heart, renew a steadfast spirit in me. God, allow me to have some endurance, allow me to have some girth to myself. Well, honey, he answered. Okay. He answered. And so much of 2024 was strengthening and growing me in my faith. Y'all just gonna sit here and let my hair do whatever it wants to do. Was a lot of it me strengthening and being grown in my faith at our church, Transforming Faith Church. My husband had my pastor, our pastor, my husband had declared that 2023 was a season of growth. And then when 2024 came, he was like, "We still in a season of growth." And my God, it was. And we grew. We definitely grew. Um, so I want to experience some different things in 2025, but I understand that my life is in the hands of the Lord. But I don't want to experience all of that. So what do I need to do differently? Is there anything within my control that I can do different? And that's what I need to focus on. Okay. So what are our 3 questions? Somebody tell me, what are our 3 questions? Our 3 questions are, what 3 words would describe 2024? Do I want to experience that in 2025? If yes, then what do I need to do to make that happen? If no, then what do I need to do differently? All right. So our first P is we are going to pause and pay attention. Now, here is our second P, and this is very important. These are the 3 Ps for 2025. Our first P is we're going to pause and pay attention. Our second P is we're going to pick and choose. We're going to pick and choose. We're going to pick and choose. Not everything deserves your energy in 2025. Not everything deserves your energy. So when I say pick and choose, this is what I want you to understand. Hear me. Y'all just lean in for me. Lean in because we having a girlfriend to girlfriend chat. The truth is, for most of you, whatever you put your hands to is going to blow up. Whatever you put your hands to is going to be excellent. Whatever you put your hands to, you're going to put all of you into it because your reputation is at stake, because you don't want anything to be shaky on your name. Because you are serious about operating in excellence. And so, whatever you put your hands to, you're going to give it your all. And so, in 2025, sis, you're going to have to pick and choose what you're going to focus on. Because what's happening to so many of you, what's happening to so many of us, we are putting or trying to put our all in all the things. Let me say that again. You are bringing your all to all the things, and all of a sudden you're wondering why you are worn out. You have to pick and choose. I know that you are excellent, and I know that you operate at your optimal best. But the truth is, you cannot bring your all to every project at work. You cannot bring your all to all the demands of your children. You cannot bring your all to all the expectations of your husband. You cannot bring your all to all the demands of that community organization. I'm not telling you to remove yourself from any of the things. I'm saying pick and choose. Pick and choose what needs my attention, what needs my energy this year. You are amazing, but you have a capacity. And if you don't understand you have a capacity, you're going to stay burnt out. You're going to stay overwhelmed and you're going to stay frustrated. And so you have a choice. You can either continue to do what you've been doing, or you could take a moment to pause and pay attention and then pick and choose. Let me tell you an example. I was working with a particular client, and one of the things we were talking through is some frustration she was having at work. And one of the things she told me was that um, I have all of these projects. I have several projects that my supervisor keeps bringing to me. And so I had a simple question because I'm trying to understand the nature of her job as I'm helping her navigate her reality. So my question was, why are all the projects coming to you? I didn't understand, like, why are all the projects coming to you? And she said, well, because one of the things my supervisor told me is that he knows that he can give it to me and it's going to get done and it's going to get done in excellence. And so I asked, but is that what's required or could he spread it out a little bit? And she said, well, he could definitely spread it out a little bit. Or she said, I could talk to him about what is the priority now. Ding ding, ding ding. Because you're not even having the conversation to admit the overwhelm. Listen, you can't hold somebody accountable to what you're not telling them. You have to acknowledge to someone, listen, I am at capacity. Now, sure, I cannot control, you cannot control that person's response, but if you haven't even communicated that, and so she's getting all the projects because she's not communicating any concern. Ding, ding. Let me tell you another example. I have another client now. This particular client I've been working with for a long time. I was about to say the number of years, but this has been a long time. And she works in a particular field where you get ranked. Now, mind you, she's worked in this field for a while, and this is not necessarily her passion. She has another passion outside of work that is financially lucrative that she's very good at. This is her 9 to 5, right? Which I respect. She was so serious at this 9 to 5 about ranking in the top 10. And I asked, because again, I'm trying to understand the nature of her job. So I asked, is it required that you rank in the top 10? And she said, mm-mm. She said, that's just the expectation I have of myself. But yet, you're on this session telling me you're overwhelmed and maxed out and don't have enough for the thing that's really your passion that's growing and building. Why are you so insistent at ranking in top 10? That's just the expectation I have of myself. Fair. But you're going to continue doing that and you're going to burn out over here. So, what we did for a full year is we just dropped her commitment down over here just a notch. She said, okay, I'll just do what I gotta do to stay in the top 20. She said, "I can't do less than a 20, Rob." Okay. Y'all, she started ranking in the top 20, and this business of hers blew up because she picked, and how do I say that? She committed to pick and choose. She recognized I cannot put all of my energy here and all of my energy here and think that I'm going to be successful. She had to pick and choose. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to pause and pay attention. See, it required her to pause and pay attention to what is working and what isn't working. I want you to pause and pay attention. and I want you to pick and choose. And here's the last one. Here is the last one. I want you to prioritize your values. Now, let me run through this very quickly. I want you to prioritize your values. Listen, when you don't honor your deepest values, you will always live with an undercurrent of life dissatisfaction. When you don't honor your deepest values, you will always live with an undercurrent of life dissatisfaction. Your values are what guide, Guide, your values are what guide your life, okay? And so if you don't even know what your values are, we're already in trouble. If you don't even know what your values are, we're already in trouble. You want to make sure, we talk about this in bite-sized breakthroughs for busy women. What are your values? There are two different types of values. There are core values and character values. Your core values are what drives you, what motivates you. So, for example, purpose, friendship, or relationships. Purpose, friendship, family, and faith, my relationship with God, are my core values. That's what drives me. That's what pulls me. I can tell when one of those 4 are off, something is off in my life. One of those values are changing a little bit, not that it's not a priority to me anymore, but it's not the same level of priority, so I have to revisit that. But that's your core values. Your character values are who you are, how you want to be represented, how you want to impact other people, regardless of where it is, whether it is at work, whether it's at church, whether it's with your family. It's the mark you want to leave. You need to know your values so that in 2025, you can prioritize your values. Remember, I said purpose, friendship, family, not in any particular order, and my relationship with God. Well, when I am prioritizing my values, I need to look at all the things that are demanding my time and making sure that those 4 things are honored. Am I honoring my family? Am I honoring friendship? Am I having time for family? Am I having time for friendship? Am I focused on the things that I'm called to do? That's how you honor your values. You have to prioritize your values this year. So that brings us to our intention. So remember, we're going to pick and choose. Number one, we're going to pause and pay attention. We're going to pick and choose, and we're going to prioritize our values. So when you are thinking about your intentions for the year, so I get it. Some of you don't want to do resolutions. I at least want you to do your intentions. When you fast forward to December 2025, what do you want to say was your markers of success? What will make you feel like, wow, 2025 was successful within what you can manage, right? So remember, we've already talked about the 3 words that describe 2024. Do I want to experience that in 2025? If yes, then what do I need to do? If not, then what do I need to do differently? Well, this is where we begin to set our intentions. I want you, when you're thinking about what you value most, what means the most to you, what guides your life, from our first exercise with pause and pay attention, the 3 questions, to understanding that I'm going to pick and choose where I put my energy, to prioritizing our values. This is how we begin to shape our intentions for the year. So, with all of that said, I want to share with you my intentions. My 3-part intentions this year, as I answered those 3 questions, as I considered the 3 Ps, as I began to prioritize even more my values, my 3 intentions this year is that I am simplifying my life. There are some specific things that will indicate that I am simplifying my life, and I've asked for accountability on that. And I will know, wait a minute, okay, hold on. You're doing that thing again, Robin. Wait a minute. You're not honoring this. Simplifying my life. Number 2, making more money. The reason why number 2 is so important is because the problem with number 1 is that there are so many things in my hands that I'm not um, honoring principles that will bring me increase. So number 1, simplify my life. Number 2, make more money. Number 3, prioritize peace. Remember, I talked about your cognitive distortions. Well, so much of our peace is connected to the way we think, connected to our worldview. You remember the beginning of our conversation, and I said, when you're navigating tough seasons, you need to ask yourself, what is my cognitive distortion and how am I honoring my worldview? Well, when I am prioritizing peace, I have to remember, Robin, what is that stinking thinking that could steal the peace that God has promised? So I just share with you my 3 intentions. I would love for you to share with me yours. DM them to me on Instagram, Robin May Online, or you can just post them here and give me permission so that I can share with other people because we all want to encourage each other in this season. So simplify my life, make more money, and prioritize peace. All right, y'all, that is it. That is it. I am 5 minutes over already. Give me just a few more minutes because I want to share with you what 2025 is going to look like, how I am going to be actively supporting as I simplify my life, supporting my community with Live Life LLC, with Robin May Online, and all the things. Number one, make sure you are in on my email blast, on my email blast, because you can go to Robin May Online to access it or just DM me and I'll send you a link because every single Monday I am sending you an email to help you shape your week, to give you a thought of the day, to help you really lean in to this year. It's coming straight from my life devotional, and I am sharing it with you the entire year. And then you could purchase the devotional if you choose to. If not, I am sharing it with you every week and giving you at least one thought to consider for the week. So I'm going to send you an email every single Monday. So do not miss that. Make sure you're on my email list. Number two, we're going to be rocking over there on Instagram. Make sure you're following me on Instagram, Robin May Online. I've already told you right here on YouTube, I'm going to be here at least weekly. I know life be life, but I'm going to try to be here weekly. I'm going to have several series. One of the series I'm going to be doing is for my single ladies. We're going to be reading my book, Before You Take His Name. I'm going to use a book club format to give you some takeaways. I'm going to have an Ask Robin series that you can ask me any questions from a clinical point of view, a coaching point of view, or from a faith point of view. I also am interested in kind of sharing my goal to monetize YouTube. I want to monetize my YouTube channel, and I'm considering having a series where I share with you that process, but I don't know if y'all are interested in that, so let me know. Make sure, though, the main thing is bite-sized breakthroughs for busy women. This is where every week I'm going to be sharing with you a 15-minute inspiration in Patreon so that you can lean in and go back to that Patreon whenever you need some synthesized, clear inspiration. That's not a lot of the introduction, a lot of the middle conversations. It's every week within Patreon. You will have access to on the go inspiration. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be emailing you. I'm going to be on Instagram. I'm going to be on YouTube. We're going to be doing bite sized breakthroughs for busy women. That is how I want to serve you this year. Then lastly, I have an idea. I need to get at least 25 women to express an interest in this. I want to do what I am calling my new year elevate experience. New year elevate experience. Because I know January 1st is the new year. But on February, I think it's 6th. Let me look at my calendar and then I'm gonna be out of here. I think it's February 6th. I want to host a virtual Elevate experience. And what that's going to be is I've walked you through these 3 questions that you can ask yourself, but I really wanna help you create your life plan. I've talked about the live life experience, the 7 steps to life. I wanna help you walk through that virtually in a Zoom experience where I'm walking you through the steps, and at the end, you will have your 7 steps to life. You will have done a self-assessment, you would have gotten clear on your values, you would have understand your strength sabotage, you would have understand how you complicate things like I do. You would have identified your support system. You would have written out the vision for your life, all the things in a virtual um, experience. Now, there will be a cost to the virtual experience. The cost is going to be somewhere between 125 and 150 for a 3-hour virtual experience on February 6th. So I need 25 women to express interest. So stay tuned. I'm going to send out a sign up form just for you to say, yeah, Robin, I am interested in this. And if I get 25 women who are at least interested, then I will do that on February 6th. All right. Oh, one last thing I forgot to do. I'm also trying to get 1,000 women to go through the Define Your Happy Challenge. Define Your Happy Challenge is absolutely free. It's 5 days. Just go to defineyourhappy.com. So, as I said all of that, y'all are saying, Robin, but you said one of your goals is to simplify your life. Well, honey, everything that I just shared with you all, Define Your Happy, that's done. I'm simplifying. I'm not adding anything to it. It's done. You just go sign up, it's done. When I talk about the emails, honey, it is simplified. That is my life devotional. I am sharing with you, giving you access to this devotional that can transform your life. It's already done. YouTube and Instagram, this is where I am putting in a little more effort. So simplify your life doesn't mean not doing anything. It's just simplifying the things. So I hope you have enjoyed this time. Thank you all for rocking with me. If you are coming on to this after the stream has ended, no worries. I'll be checking the comments and making sure that you all are still engaged and growing. I've enjoyed this time. If you live in Atlanta, go enjoy the rest of your snow day. We're about to play Taboo as a family after I get me something to eat. All right. Y'all have a great day. Bye bye.